She stood in rags outside a graduation hall. No family, no home, no hope. Then a little girl ran to her, held her hand, and said, "I want you to be my mom." The crowd gasped. Her billionaire father froze. But what he discovered next about the homeless woman changed everything forever. Hello family, welcome to Tales by King. Kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel for more beautiful stories. Thank you as you do so. Sit back, relax as we dive into the story. The morning sun shone brightly over Greenwood Academy, but not everyone felt the joy of the day. Inside the large graduation hall, everything looked perfect. White and gold decorations covered the walls. Chairs were arranged in long, neat rows. The stage was dressed with shining banners that read, "Congratulations, Class of the Year." Parents rushed around with cameras in their hands. Some laughed loudly. Some cried proudly. Others whispered about their children's bright futures. Today was a day of celebration. But outside the gate, reality looked very different. Across the street, near a small tree, stood a homeless woman. Her clothes were old and torn. Her shoes were cracked, and her jacket was too thin for the cold morning air. Her name was Hannah Brooks. Hannah held a small cardboard sign close to her chest. It read, "Please help. I'm hungry." She had not eaten since the night before. Her stomach growled, but she ignored it. Hunger was now part of her daily life. What hurt more was how people looked at her, some with fear, some with disgust, some pretending she did not exist at all. Hannah watched the parents enter the hall with their children. She saw expensive cars, beautiful dresses, proud smiles. She wondered how life had brought her here. Not long ago, she had dreams. A home. A life. Now she only had memories and the street. Just then, a black luxury car stopped at the gate. A man stepped out wearing a clean black suit. He looked calm, powerful, and important. People greeted him respectfully. This was Damian Kingston, a man known by everyone in the city. A billionaire. A business leader. A man with everything. Beside him stepped out a little girl in a white graduation gown and cap. She held a small bouquet of flowers and smiled brightly. Her name was Sophie Kingston. She looked happy, but her eyes carried a quiet sadness, like something was missing. As Sophie walked toward the gate, she suddenly stopped. Her eyes moved away from the shining crowd. They found Hannah. For a moment, the world around her felt quiet. Hannah felt Sophie's gaze and quickly looked away. She did not want to scare the child. She did not want trouble. But Sophie turned and walked slowly toward her. Hannah felt nervous. Children were often told to stay away from people like her. "Sweetheart," Hannah whispered gently when Sophie stood close. "You should go inside. Your family is waiting." Sophie shook her head. "My dad is inside," she said softly. "But I saw you yesterday. You were crying." Hannah's heart skipped. She had not known Sophie noticed. "I was only tired," Hannah replied. Sophie studied her face carefully, like she was trying to understand her. "Are you lonely?" Sophie asked. Hannah's lips trembled. No one had asked her that in a long time. She tried to smile. "Everyone gets lonely sometimes." Sophie reached out and held Hannah's cold hand. "Come inside with me," Sophie said. Hannah pulled her hand back in fear. No, she whispered. "They won't allow me. I don't belong there." Sophie frowned. "You belong with me." Hannah felt tears rise in her eyes. Before she could reply, a security guard shouted, "Hey, step away from the student." Hannah quickly stepped back. "I'm sorry," she said to Sophie. "You should go." Sophie stood still, then suddenly raised her voice. "I want her to come with me." People turned. Parents stared. Whispers spread through the crowd. Hannah's face burned with shame. From inside the hall, Damian Kingston saw everything through the glass doors. His eyes narrowed. His heart tightened. Because his daughter was standing beside a homeless woman and holding her hand like she was her whole world. And he had no idea yet that this moment would change all their lives forever. Damian felt something twist inside his chest. He pushed the glass doors open and walked toward them. The sound of his shoes echoed softly across the quiet hall. Everyone recognized him. The whispers grew louder. "That's Mr. Kingston. He owns half this city. What is his daughter doing?" Hannah saw him coming and felt her heart race. She bowed her head quickly. "I'm sorry, sir," she whispered. "I didn't mean to disturb anyone." Sophie turned to her father with wide, hopeful eyes. "Daddy," she said, "this is Hannah." Damian looked at Hannah closely. She was shaking, but she was not begging. She did not look dangerous. She only looked tired. "Sophie," Damian said calmly, "what is going on?" Sophie held Hannah's hand tighter. I want her to sit with us. The words surprised him. Why? Damien asked. Sophie's voice became small. Because she listened to me when I was sad. Damien felt his heart tighten. Hannah spoke softly. Your daughter was crying last week near the gate. I only talked to her. Damien looked at Sophie. Is that true? Sophie nodded. I felt alone. She stayed with me. Damien exhaled slowly. Then Sophie said the words that made the hall go silent. Daddy, I want her to be my mom. A gasp filled the room. Someone dropped a phone. A teacher covered her mouth. Hannah froze. Sweetheart, don't say that, Hannah whispered. Your father. Sophie shook her head, tears in her eyes. You are kind, Sophie said. You care. You make me feel safe. Damien's jaw tightened. Sophie, he said gently, you already have a family. Sophie cried harder. You are always busy. I don't have a mom. I don't even know how that feels. The words cut deep. Damien turned away for a second, then faced her again. You can't choose a mother like this, he said. Sophie whispered, I already did. The room felt heavy. Damien looked at Hannah again. Did you ask her for anything? He asked. Hannah shook her head. Never. Damien nodded slowly. Sit, he said. Hannah blinked. Sir. Just for today, Damien said. Sit with her. Sophie smiled through tears and hugged Hannah tightly. Damien walked back to his seat, his mind full of questions. And from the back row, a woman watched them with cold eyes. Her name was Veronica Hale. She sat in the back row, her lips curved in a smile that did not reach her eyes. She watched Hannah sit beside Sophie. She watched Sophie lean her head on Hannah's arm like she had known her forever. And she felt something dark grow inside her chest. Jealousy. Veronica had worked hard to be seen as the perfect woman beside Damien Kingston. She dressed well, spoke well, and stood proudly in his shadow. But now, a homeless woman was taking the place she wanted. She clenched her hands together. That should be me, she whispered. On the stage, the principal stepped forward and began the graduation speech. His voice echoed through the hall, but few people were listening. Whispers continued. Some parents pointed. Some shook their heads. Hannah felt the stares on her skin. She wanted to disappear. But Sophie squeezed her hand gently. It's okay, Sophie whispered. You're safe. Those words surprised Hannah. No one had said that to her in a long time. Damien watched them quietly. He did not understand why his daughter trusted this woman so deeply. He searched Hannah's face for lies or hidden plans. But he saw none. Only tired eyes and quiet kindness. When Sophie's name was called, the hall filled with applause. Sophie walked onto the stage proudly, her white gown flowing behind her. She looked into the crowd and smiled when she saw Hannah clapping for her. Her smile grew brighter. Damien felt something shift inside him. After the ceremony, families gathered near the stage for photos. A photographer called, Sophie Kingston and father. Sophie walked forward, then turned and pulled Hannah with her. Come, she said. You're in my picture. The photographer hesitated. Damien nodded. Take the photo. Just then, Veronica walked forward, her heels clicking loudly. She smiled sweetly. Sophie, darling, she said, come stand with me. Sophie shook her head. I want Hannah. Veronica's eyes moved to Hannah. And who are you? She asked softly, though her tone was sharp. Hannah lowered her head. Just someone she met. Veronica laughed lightly. A stranger? In our family photo. Damien's voice turned cold. Veronica, stop. But Veronica was not finished. If you truly care about Sophie, she said, looking at Hannah, you will not mind answering a few questions later. Just to be safe. Hannah felt fear twist inside her. Sophie began to cry. Don't take her. Damien stepped forward. That's enough, he said firmly. Veronica's smile faded. She stepped back, pulled out her phone, and typed quickly. Her eyes were cold. She was planning something. Something that would change everything. Veronica's fingers moved fast on her phone. Her face stayed calm, but her eyes were cold. She typed one final message, hit send, and slipped the phone back into her purse like nothing happened. Then she forced a sweet smile again and walked away into the crowd, waving at a few parents as if she had done nothing at all. But the truth was simple. Veronica had just set a trap. Outside the hall, the graduation crowd began to scatter. Families laughed, hugged, and posed for more pictures. Students threw their caps in the air and screamed with joy. Hannah stood near the entrance, unsure what to do. Her body still felt stiff from all the stares and whispers. She kept adjusting her old jacket, wishing she could pull it over her face and hide. Sophie refused to let go of her hand. "Please don't leave," Sophie whispered, her eyes wet again. "If you go, they will take me back to being lonely." Hannah's throat tightened. She crouched a little so she could look Sophie in the eyes. "I'm not trying to leave you," Hannah said gently. I'm not sure your dad really wants me around." Sophie looked toward Damien, who was speaking quietly with the school principal. "I don't care," Sophie said. "I want you." Hannah's heart broke a little. She could see it now. The little girl was loved with money, but starved of warmth. A black luxury car pulled up in front of the entrance. The driver stepped out quickly and opened the door. Damien walked toward them. His face was calm, but his eyes looked deep, like a man thinking too much. He looked at Sophie first. "Are you ready to go?" Sophie nodded. "Yes. And Hannah is coming." Hannah's eyes widened. "Sophie." Damien looked at Hannah. "Come with us." Hannah froze. "Sir." She tried to speak, but her voice failed. Damien's tone stayed firm. "It's fine. She's asking for you. I won't ignore her today." Hannah's hands trembled. She didn't know what to say. Part of her wanted to run away before trouble found her. But then Sophie squeezed her hand and smiled. So Hannah slowly stepped toward the car. When she sat inside, the seat felt soft and warm. The smell of leather and clean air filled her nose. It felt like another world. Sophie sat close and leaned her head on Hannah's arm again. Damien sat on the other side, watching them quietly as the car moved. Hannah could feel his eyes sometimes, like he was studying her. Not with anger. Not yet. But with suspicion and confusion. As they drove, Sophie began to talk happily, like a child who had finally found air to breathe. "Daddy, can Hannah come to my room?" she asked. Damien replied, "We'll see." Sophie pouted. "She should. She makes me feel safe." Damien's lips pressed together. Hannah looked out the window, feeling both comfort and fear at the same time. She whispered to herself, "Please let this not end badly." The car turned into a huge estate. Tall gates. Security guards. Green lawns that looked like a field. Flowers lined the driveway like they were planted for royalty. Hannah stared in shock. "This is your home?" she asked Sophie, almost in a whisper. Sophie nodded. "Yes, but it's too quiet." The car stopped in front of a mansion, so large Hannah felt dizzy. The front door opened, and workers stood in a neat line. "Welcome back, sir," they said respectfully. Hannah stepped out slowly. Her feet felt heavy, like she didn't deserve to stand on such clean ground. Sophie pulled her gently. "Come," Sophie said excitedly. "I will show you everything." They walked inside. The house was beautiful, but it felt cold, like a place built for showing off, not for living. Sophie ran ahead, then stopped at a large framed photo on the wall. Hannah stopped too. It was a picture of Damien and a woman. The woman looked gentle, with warm eyes and a soft smile. Sophie's smile faded. "That's my mom," Sophie said quietly. Hannah's chest tightened. She was beautiful. Sophie nodded. "She's gone." Damien stood behind them, listening without speaking. His face did not change much, but his eyes did. Pain lived there. Sophie walked away quickly, pretending she was fine. Hannah looked at Damien carefully. "I'm sorry," she said softly. Damien gave a small nod, like he had no words. Later, during dinner, Sophie ate more than she had eaten in a long time. She kept smiling and talking, showing Hannah her little graduation certificate again and again. "Look, I did it," Sophie said proudly. "You did great," Hannah said warmly. "I'm proud of you." Damien watched that moment closely. He expected Hannah to ask for money, or beg for help, or start acting too familiar. But she didn't. She only acted like Sophie mattered. Like Sophie's heart mattered. For the first time in a long while, Damien felt something he didn't understand. A strange peace. Then the peace broke. A security guard rushed in and whispered something into Damien's ear. Damien's face went hard. He pushed his chair back slowly. "Sophie," he said, controlled, "go upstairs." Sophie froze. "Why?" Damien repeated, "Now." Sophie looked at Hannah, frightened. Hannah tried to smile. "It's okay. Go, sweetie." Sophie stood up slowly, but she didn't leave. She held Hannah's hand like she was holding on to life. Damien looked at Hannah. "Come with me," he said. Hannah's stomach dropped. She followed him into the large living room. 2 police officers were standing there. Hannah stopped breathing. One officer stepped forward. "Ma'am," he said, We got a report that you stole a wallet at the graduation hall today. Hannah's eyes widened in horror. What? She whispered. The room spun. She turned to Damien, shaking. Sir, I didn't steal anything. I swear. I don't even have pockets big enough to hide anything. Damien's voice was quiet but heavy. Tell me the truth, Hannah. Hannah's throat burned. I am telling the truth. Just then, Sophie ran into the room, barefoot, crying. Daddy, she screamed. Don't take her away. Sophie threw herself around Hannah's waist. She's good. Sophie sobbed. She didn't steal. She's my mom. Hannah broke down in tears. She was tired of being treated like dirt. Tired of being accused because she was poor. Damien stared at them. His face was stiff, but his eyes flickered like his heart was fighting his mind. The officer spoke again. Sir, we must take her in for questioning. Sophie screamed louder. No. Damien raised his hand sharply. Wait, he said. He turned and pulled out his phone. His voice turned cold. Send me the full security footage from the school. Now. Then he made another call. And get Veronica Hale on the line. Hannah's heart pounded as the name hit her ears. Veronica. So that was it. Minutes later, Damien's large screen lit up. A video began to play. And what Hannah saw next made her blood turn cold, because it showed the truth clearly. Veronica, setting her up. And Damien's face changed completely as he watched. His eyes hardened. His jaw clenched. Because now he knew. This was not just a lie. It was war. The video ended. The room was silent. Hannah covered her mouth with both hands. Her whole body shook. Sophie stared at the screen, then at Damien. I told you, she whispered. I told you she was good. The two police officers looked at each other. One of them cleared his throat. Sir, this changes everything. The report was false. Damien did not look at them. His eyes were still on the dark screen. You may leave, he said quietly. The officers nodded and left the room. Damien slowly turned to Hannah. His voice was no longer cold. It was broken. I am sorry, he said. I believed the worst about you. Hannah wiped her tears. I understand, sir. But inside, her heart was still hurting. Sophie hugged Hannah tighter. She can stay now, right? Sophie asked. Damien nodded. Yes, she can. Sophie smiled through her tears. But Damien's face stayed serious. Hannah, he said, there is something I must ask you. Hannah looked up. What is it? Damien walked closer. Why does Sophie trust you like she has known you before? He asked. And why do I feel like I have seen you somewhere? Hannah's heart stopped. She swallowed hard. I don't know, she whispered. Damien's voice lowered. Tell me about your past. Hannah looked at the floor for a long time. Then she began. My life was not always like this, she said softly. I had a home, a job, friends. Damien listened carefully. Hannah continued. I had a best friend. Her name was Claire. Damien froze. Hannah lifted her eyes. She was Sophie's mother. Damien's breath caught. Hannah's voice shook. We grew up together. She trusted me more than anyone. Sophie stared at Hannah in shock. You knew my mommy? Sophie asked. Hannah nodded slowly. Yes. Tears filled Damien's eyes. We searched for you after she died, he said. You disappeared. I didn't leave by choice, Hannah replied. The night Claire died, she called me. She said she was scared. She said she found out something dangerous. Damien leaned forward. About who? Hannah whispered, Veronica. Damien closed his eyes. Hannah went on, her voice breaking. I ran to meet Claire. But I was too late. I heard a scream. I saw a car drive away. When I reached her, she was bleeding. Damien's hands shook. She held my hand, Hannah said. She begged me to protect Sophie and tell you the truth. Tears ran down Damien's face. But before I could, Hannah whispered, someone attacked me. I woke up in a clinic. I had lost my memory. Sophie cried softly. When I finally remembered my name, Hannah said, I had nothing. No home. No one believed me. Damien stood and walked toward her. I failed you, he said. And I failed my wife. Hannah shook her head. I don't want revenge. I just want peace. Damien looked at Sophie, then back at Hannah. You will have peace, he said. Sophie ran into Hannah's arms. I knew you were meant for me, she cried. Damien dropped to his knees. I'm sorry, he whispered. Hannah touched his shoulder. We all lost something. Damien stood and wiped his face. From today, he said, this house will be your home. Hannah gasped. Sophie laughed and hugged her again. And in that moment, the broken girl, the lonely father, and the homeless woman became a family. Not by blood, but by love. That brings us to the end of this video. I hope you find this story worth watching. If you do, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel for more beautiful stories, like, comment, and share this video to your friends and loved ones. Your support and engagement encourage me to post more videos. Thanks for watching.